IT Nation Grow. Had the great pleasure of attending IT Nation Grow in December 2024 at ConnectWise headquarters, downtown Tampa. Great event. Talk about mergers and acquisition, about growing your MSP. There was buyers there, sellers there. Just a great event and a great community that's being generated from it. I had the great opportunity to talk to 10 individuals while I was there. Really great conversations, really diverse group from very different backgrounds, some MSPs, some bankers, some PE firms, some vendors, really great conversations there. And I enjoyed every single one of them. It got crowded at particular points. Some of the audio might be tricky. It was a great event, IT Nation Grow, December 2024. I look forward to doing many, many more. Thank you, all 10 of you, for your time spending your time with me, having a conversation and listening to my questions. Thanks again.
Hi, I'm Joey Pinz, and here's my 45-second introduction. After starting my business in the 90s, I started developing poor habits of eating in my diet because of working way too much. I found myself at 340 pounds. The doctor told me if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. I took the next 7 months, lost 130 pounds. People ask me, how'd you do it? What's the secret? I need to lose weight. How'd you do it? How'd I lose the weight? Just one word: discipline. I've had other successes in life, and I attribute them all to discipline. Now, I'm not the king of discipline, but I believe that it can help all of us. Friends convinced me to start a podcast. The podcast mission: how do we better ourselves and society? I talk to interesting people in health, fitness, sport, wellness, business, technology, science, art, and culture. And I eventually ask them how discipline plays a role in their life. Podcast vision: growth through learning from others.
Well, you're in a men's baseball league. Well, I'm gonna guess you're second baseman.
I was when I had some range left. Now I'm a first baseman.
Is that right? Come a little closer.
And not a very good.
Really? Can you split?
Once, and then I'm out for about a month. I can do it once.
Yeah, I see you're drinking with your left hand, but you're right-handed if you play second base. Yeah,
I'm a righty.
Yeah. You're righty. Yeah, and it's a full fast pitch baseball league.
Yeah. I didn't know they existed until about 15 years ago, and so I hadn't played since really high school. And when I found out that it was a thing, it was amazing.
Yeah.
So, did you play baseball?
I did. I played soccer, but I played a little baseball.
Okay, so when you get back in the batter's box, and they're throwing, these younger guys are throwing, what we think is heat.
Yes.
It's like a time machine.
It is. It is.
It's amazing.
And when that ball breaks, when a right-handed, I'm right-handed, and a right-handed just comes at you and then away, and
well, that's why I switch hit.
Do you really?
Because I couldn't adjust to the curveball right-handed. So.
Wow. So depending on the pitcher, you'll switch hit.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And no difference in your motion.
It doesn't feel like it, but I think if you looked at some video, I'm going to look like an old guy.
How old are you, John?
55.
Oh my goodness. I'm a year older than you. And I would think in Miami there's a lot of Cubans, right? So a lot of really, really good baseball, I would think. Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. It's still fun, isn't it?
It's fun. I mean, we do it once a week, we all work during the week, so, we try not to hurt ourselves.
Yes.
But, it's a lot of fun.
9-inning games?
9-inning games.
Wow. Yeah. And in batting order, where are you?
I'm slipping a little bit. I can still hit. I just don't run very well. So if I hit a ball in the gap and I see the outfielder's jersey number.
Yes. Back to you.
Normally that's a stand-up double. But for me, I'm just sort of calling it quits at first. I think I had 2 or 3 doubles last year.
Who will be the first billion-dollar baseball player? We just saw, $765 million they paid him?
Juan Soto in a few years. Give him a few years to earn some interest. He'll be there.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's the largest in all of sport, even European soccer, the largest.
I don't know, though, with some of the Saudi
deals,
I don't know if that's true.
Right, that's a good point.
Yeah, some of these guys are getting $100 million a year.
Yeah, Ronaldo was getting over $100 million a year. Yeah, just not long term. Yeah,
but
I
you don't
know.
need too many $100 million
No,
paydays
no,
before
no, you
you
don't.
have real money.
Yeah, yeah. And so are the Marlins your team?
No, I'm a Red Sox fan. I grew up in Vermont.
I don't hear it anymore, Josh. What happened?
I left Vermont when I was still a kid. I
I
was
see.
12, 13 years old, and
So 12 or 13, that was Rice, that was
my
Yastrzemski.
favorite player, Jim
Yeah,
Rice.
yeah.
May or may not be part of some of the passwords I use.
Is that right?
Maybe.
He was great.
I wear number 14
Do
because
you
of Rice.
really?
Yeah.
So I'm from New Haven. I'm from Connecticut.
Hmm.
So there's two kinds of people. There's Yankees and Red Sox. So I was
Right.
more Yankees. But I was never a Red Sox hater, though. I would go to Fenway.
Why? Yeah. Why would you hate the Red Sox? You always beat them.
Well, but
There's
I still
nothing to
love the
hate.
players. Well, we beat them to a certain point, and then we were up 3 games
Yeah.
in the World Series.
4 would have helped.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the fourth would kind of help.
That
Yeah.
was going to be a big one. Yeah.
Yeah, but I would never go to Fenway in Yankees attire. I never understood that mentality.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's probably safer to do that than to go to Yankee Stadium.
Yeah,
Red Sox.
yeah,
attire,
yeah,
but,
yeah.
yeah.
Of course, now it's changed. It's just so expensive, and
Oh, yeah.
you can wear whatever you want when you're there.
Yeah, if you're
Yeah,
paying $500-600 for a
That's
a
right.
seat on the monster,
yeah,
you can do whatever you want.
yeah. You sure can. So we're here at IT Nation Grow
Yes.
in ConnectWise headquarters downtown Tampa. What are some of your goals here, Josh?
Well, I'm here really because I've been through the process as an MSP owner. I've sold my business. I've worked with a scaling brand. I'm now partnered with private equity, growing regional brands in the East Coast of the U.S. And, this industry has been really good to me. I mean, really good.
Yeah, me too.
And so if I can help people out, I'm happy to do it. I came through the peer group world, so I'm sort of accustomed to getting together with fellow operators and just hashing out whatever the issues are, giving some advice, asking good questions. And so it's, for me, this is part about business development, right? I want to identify MSPs that I like and think fit into our strategy. But it's also about giving back and being back in the mix from a peer group standpoint. It looks like next year I'm going to get involved with Evolve as a facilitator.
Wow.
So, important for me to be at events like this to learn the language. I came from a different peer group, and it's the best process that an MSP owner can involve themselves in. Forget, bang for the buck. It's life changing. It's business changing. And you develop, as I did, and almost every other person who's been part of the peer group world, you develop real friendships with people who experience what you experience. You can't bring all this stuff home. Your wife may not have any sort of idea of what goes on in the MSP industry. Your friends don't know. So it's been a great process. It's good to be in the room with these people.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. So you started the MSP in Vermont or in Miami?
No, Miami. So
I
I
see.
went to the University of Miami.
Hurricane.
Back when anyone could get in.
Yeah, is that right?
And I stayed.
Yeah.
And partnered up with a friend of mine in 1998 in a company called Western Digitech, and built that to about $7 million in revenue.
Wow.
When we left, and 20% EBITDA margins.
Wow.
I bought my partner out about 7 years before, but he stayed in the business. So, we sort of went through the finish line together.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
You mentioned Evolve. I was in, HTG, then Evolve 15 years. I was a
Yeah.
facilitator for a while. The peer groups completely turned me around, Josh, like you said.
Turned me around. I mean, when I showed up, I had a $2 million 5% EBITDA
Wow.
business with a lot of chaos. And I didn't want to go because I knew that my baby was ugly.
Yeah.
But when I got there and I got through that initial meeting where, oh yeah, here's my baby, I was able to see at the P&L level, org chart level, and just sort of by building relationships, I was able to see what good businesses look like. And when we had 10 companies per room in our peer group, And I was number 9 when I showed up,
Mm.
only because of, I won't mention his name, but a New England MSP who's terrible,
Ah.
right? Even more terrible than me. And I just tried to climb the ladder over the next 6 years.
Wow.
And I did. You know, I'm a competitive guy, so it's a little bit of that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just a great process. I mean, I needed accountability.
Ah, yeah, that was
my
the big
biggest
thing.
issue.
So why'd you get out? Why'd you sell?
You know, I turned 50 the year that a few months after I sold. So I was approaching 50, really with no plans to sell. I'd been tracking on my rolling 3-year plans and 1-year plans almost perfectly. I had the best team that I've ever had. 20% EBITDA margins quarter after quarter after quarter. I mean, we just nailed it. And growing. Right. I'm not technical, so my role was really to sell. I had another outside salesperson and different inside salespeople at different times, and we were able to sell. So I didn't think about exiting until a friend of mine, not in my peer group, but another peer that I'd networked with, another Florida MSP. We were sort of sharing best practices on an ongoing basis. We sit down at lunch one day, and he says, I want to buy your company.
Huh.
And here's what I want to pay. And I thought, wow.
Did he know your financials?
Yeah, we were pretty transparent about how we're doing. You know, coming from the peer group world,
Sure.
I'll share anything.
The go-giver,
I don't care. It's, I think if you want to get better, you've got to be transparent. Can't be held accountable if you don't tell people what's going on. So I thought, wow, that's a lot more money than I thought anyone would hand me for this.
Fascinating.
The wheels started turning. And so over the next few months, I sort of came to a decision that I wanted to sell. And then I ran a bit of a process. I was unsophisticated. There's so much that I did not know then that would have helped me if I'd known it. But I'm a lucky guy, basically. And I put together a good enough process with enough qualified buyers, brought them to the table at pretty much the same time, and then, you know, through some negotiating, ended up with a really good deal. Maybe not the best deal, but a really good deal. You know, for me, part of the good deal was not just the consideration, but I ended up in a situation with a pretty young, small MSP at the time, Compass MSP, which is not much larger. And I got to meet with, the person who bought the business was the board chair of Compass. It's who I dealt with.
I see.
And he's a professor of finance at Georgetown. He's a good friend of mine now. But I learned so much from him and was introduced to this world of value creation via M&A, debt leverage. I learned these things that were totally foreign to me, and I got really excited by it. And so over the next period of time at Compass, I took various roles, including sort of an interim CEO role for a while, but I was focused on M&A. And along with the team, I got 4 deals done that transformed Compass.
Wow.
Really tripled the size of Compass.
Amazing.
And that has a huge impact on enterprise value. Just a great process. The right thing at the right time for me, right? I mean, you know what it's like.
Yeah.
You spend decades doing something. You get to a point where you want to do something different. And I thought it was going to be totally outside the MSP industry. But I found it inside the MSP industry, which is pretty satisfying.
It sure is. What's an MSP platform?
What is a platform?
Yeah.
Classic platform from the PE perspective?
Sure.
Oh, I mean, there's a lot of debate on that, but I would say the key criteria would be got to have scale, and scale such that you have professional operators on your subordinate leadership team. So that could mean that you have a $20 million MSP doing 20% EBITDA margins, and you've got HR, CFO, VP of sales, professionals that are running those business units. But you can find that sometimes in a much smaller business. And some private equity firms would sit here and say, well, I need to see 5 million, 10 million in EBITDA before I think I've got a platform. So the answer is it's different for every buyer.
Right.
But the key characteristics are that the maturity and a leadership team that can scale.
And that's what you're building, Josh.
Yeah, so we're doing it a little differently. We're using smaller MSPs and aggregating them into regional brands.
I see.
The basic goal is to create $50+ million brands in the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, Florida. We're looking for a fourth region, where we think we can aggregate several, say on an average basis, $5 million revenue MSPs, 10 of them, create a $50 million regional brand. And I think that regional brand strategy is exciting at the MSP operating level. Maybe we don't get maximum multiple arbitrage, that we would get if we combine them into a single brand, or maximum synergies, but we get something that makes sense at a business level. We can go to market as a regional MSP, I believe, more effectively than a national brand can go to market. We serve small business customers, and most small business customers in, say, Boston don't care if you have an office in LA or Houston or Miami, but they do care if you're in New Haven or Hartford or Burlington
Providence.
or Providence,
Yeah.
right? Because that's where their businesses operate. So we think it makes sense. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, you certainly will. And why would an MSP want to be part of your platform?
Well, I think at this stage, we're relatively early in the process. So the current equity price is something that's likely to become much more valuable, right? So, for instance, in my experience as a seller, I sold into an early stage MSP, and my rollover equity was priced at $1.69 a unit. That business will sell, and will sell at 3 or 4 times that price. So that's great. Had I sold to the same business a little bit later at, say, $4 a unit, maybe a year or two later, well, maybe I double my money, but maybe not, right? So, and now I have partners from that old company, we're still shareholders together, that sold at $1. And so if you get, say, an $8 exit, that's 8 times your equity roll. That's pretty exciting.
It's a good day.
So we're offering that opportunity still to MSPs that join our strategy. Over time, that's going to change. So early stage is great. I think another reason people want to or should think about joining our strategy is the way we organize the operating units, the brands, is in a peer group. We follow a peer group model internally. So each of our brands runs independently, but we all work together to figure out tool stacks, to figure out go-to-market, to figure out new technologies that will replace some of the services that are now commoditized. Something like compliance can be tough for 10 MSPs to figure out and expensive to get into. But if you're aggregated, it's much easier to figure it out. It's much easier to lean into some exciting new services.
Sure is.
So it's really, at this stage, we want people that want to be partners. They want to lean into the process for 3 or 4 years. We do have room for tuck-ins for people that just want to go, but really we need to have someone in the same city in order to make that work. And so the tuck-in opportunity will increase as we add more brands, but for now we're looking for partners.
Josh, has there been anything in the last month or so that you've changed your mind on?
Yeah, I mean, look, there are things that I walk around thinking about a lot, and I find myself thinking about them more and more. 2024, from an organic growth standpoint, has been not a great year for a lot of MSPs. A lot of MSPs that previously grew, and I'm wondering why that is. There are different theories. Some, have data that support it, but they don't. To me, it doesn't seem like it explains the whole thing. So one theory is this: well, it's an election year,
Right.
and the business
Uncertainty,
is waiting for that uncertainty to resolve, and then the floodgates will open, or they'll at least be able to make decisions. I think there's something else going on. I think that a lot of what MSPs have done over the last 10, 15 years has been infrastructure focused, right? We replace servers and routers and switches and desktops, and we're running these. We're running infrastructure heavy architectures, and what's changed? Well, public cloud, private cloud. A lot of these servers have picked up and left. SaaS applications dominate the LOBs across our client base. So there's less going on at the infrastructure level. With COVID, everyone learned how to work remotely. And the third thing would be the users that we support now are much more sophisticated than the users that we supported.
That's right. They are
10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yep.
So they're starting to self-support in a way that they haven't done that or haven't done so in the past. So all these, the sort of the underlying foundation of why we're in business, I think, is eroding. And MSPs have to figure out how to replace this either just lower demand or commoditized services with things that have value to small and medium-sized businesses, real value, where they can quickly point to the ROI, because they're not willing to invest anymore in status quo. They want to see the impact. So compliance is is really important. Security, really important. But security is friction on a business, and no one's really excited about it. I think getting more involved with line of business applications, becoming real business consultants, business technology consultants at a higher level than we've all talked about it for years.
Right, we sure have. Yeah.
So there's a lot going on in the industry, and as a buyer, as an investor, I better have some clarity on it.
Yeah, you sure should.
So I'm working on it.
So I started my MSP in the 90s, Josh. We mentioned in New Haven, and I was putting my health in the rear. I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. I stopped playing baseball and soccer and things like this. Next thing I know, I'm at the doctor. I'm at 340 pounds.
Get out of here.
And she tells me if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. My daughter was
really
born scared. Yeah, scared
you
the life
were
out.
340.
340, 46-inch waist. Yeah. I'm 32 inches.
I don't believe it, but...
So I spent the next 6-7 months, lost 130 pounds, kept it off. And people say, I tell the story, and people are like, what's your secret? And there's no secret, Josh. Discipline. That's how I just willpower, routine. How does discipline play a role in your life?
Well, look, the people that know me really well would say it doesn't play a role.
Really?
But I've gotten better over the years. No, really, it's the peer group process really saved my life as a business owner. And probably my wife, who does have a lot of discipline, saved my life, period.
Interesting.
I think that it's an unnatural concept for me, which is weird because I also spent some time in the Army. It's a good thing I didn't make a career out of that. That probably wouldn't have worked out. But nothing happens. Progress doesn't happen without discipline and commitment and data and accountability and planning. And it doesn't work if you do that, in January, but you don't do it in February, March, April. Right? It has to be a consistent process. And I haven't cracked the code fully, but I'm much better at it than I was.
Yeah,
a lot of room for improvement.
Always, always, always. Thanks so much for your time. Anybody listening or watching, how can they get in touch with you?
LinkedIn works really well. Also, you can reach out to me via email. It's josh@joshkotler.com. That's Kotler with a K.
With a K.
And I'd love to hear from you. If you're running an MSP and you're thinking about going to market, I'm happy to tell you what I think.
Right.
We are the right answer for some MSPs, but fortunately, I've got some experience across the industry, and I could probably help you out. Just to save you some time, I'm probably going to send you to a peer group. I'm probably going to send you to Evolve.
Yes, yes,
So-
yes. Yeah, and maybe even implement EOS or some kind of
Sure,
structure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for your time,
Yeah,
Josh.
it's
Really
great,
appreciate it.
great to.
Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypins.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations.